The guiding principles and practices required to be considered a good citizen in society applies to the digital world as well. As we speak about healthy communication styles in person, it is important for individuals to relate that experience to their various social media platforms we participate in. Let's explore some of those shalls and shall nots of digital citizenship on social media. I shall not troll. Trolling is not acceptable. The moment users become deliberately irate on social media, it becomes harmful to others. Trolls leave a lasting impression, causing others to replicate negative online behavior. No form of digital harassment is okay. I shall not cyberstalk. Cyberstalking is understood to be the use of the internet to stalk or harass an individual, group, or organization. Cyberstalking is a form of cyberbullying. Roughly 4 in 10 Americans have experienced cyberstalking. Many people want technology firms to do more. However, many still are divided on how to balance freedom of speech and personal safety online. I shall not spam. Spam is the production of the same unwarranted message delivered to a large number of recipients. Spam clutters our inboxes and sullies the overall digital landscape. It is a malicious, undesired, overbearing transmission that should be stopped. Thou shalt not spam. I shall not steal. How would you feel if you knew that all your favorite brands and industry leaders stole their media content? With the internet accessible to millions, at that moment it is easy to witness and share great work. It is natural to feel inspired by others, but you may never copy someone else's work. You should always remember to give credit to the artist and source of the information you are sharing. You should always credit what you did not create. I shall use my settings. Much of society shares personal identifiable information on social media. We take close to perfect selfies, check in about our whereabouts, and tweet our loved ones. Although the benefit and joys of social media may be numerous, there are also privacy risks to consider. It is important to keep your most sensitive information safe on social media sites. Use your privacy settings to help protect yourself and your loved ones online. I shall think before I post. Who are you when you're posting? Just like the old saying, think before you speak. Remember that once you send something out into the digital world, it is nearly impossible to get it back. Always think before you post, or it just might come back to haunt you later on in life. I shall know when to walk away. You need no warning or explanation. You can block anyone disrupting your peace or jeopardizing your safety on social media. Also, you should always recognize when you have spent too much time online. Take a break to preserve your digital wellness. Thou shalt know when to walk away. Here's the simple truth. People who utilize the internet and social media are digital citizens. Even though the internet has great possibilities, it does not mean we have to replicate negative behavior online. By setting time aside to reflect on the gravity of time spent on the internet, you will improve your digital life. When online, use good judgment, be responsible, and think about how you want people to treat you. Do you have the characteristics to be a good digital citizen?
Every morning we get up, wash up, get our breakfast, and check the news. Some turn on the TV or the radio. Some read the newspaper. And others check social media. Now, we wouldn't grab a moldy bagel or pour spoiled milk over our cereal, yet many of us still consume media that may not be good for us. How do we spot information or bias in the news? It's called news literacy. Now, I don't know much about news literacy, but I do know how to make a great pie.
P. Point of view.
person's outlook on the world around them. I, interest, a person's reason or motivation for doing something. E, experiences, a person's unique understanding of what you see, feel, and hear. And S for sources, the place where the author or creator got their information.
First step in making a great pie is getting a great recipe. I always like to look to chefs who I trust. This relates to news literacy and the point of view. People tend to listen to information they agree with. Where is your news information coming from? Why do you trust them? Everyone watching news has a different point of view, a different way of seeing things, like a filter. Interest. Another important part in news literacy is interest. What does interest mean? It means who funds the project, what influences the story. Experiences. Just like we know what food we like and what food we don't like, we bring our own experiences to the table when we digest media. Have you ever read a review of a restaurant and then had a disappointing experience? Would you want to go back to that same restaurant? Have you ever read or heard a story about your school or community and said, wait a minute, that's not true about my school? Would you trust that reporter after hearing that story? That leads us to the final part of news literacy, sources. Some questions to consider when researching your sources. Where are they getting the information from? Who is the original source? Is there credit given to the original source? Are they transparent? Now we know the 4 main ingredients of news literacy. If you stick to the recipe, you'll be better prepared to digest your morning news with your morning breakfast. With a healthy point of view, positive interests, practical experiences, and credible sources, you can trust the information that you are receiving to be legitimate and reliable.
Your email has been hacked. Your password of trust no one wasn't strong enough. Someone has gotten access to your home address, those pictures you didn't want anyone to see, bank account information, and more. That information is gold and is traded and sold to people that want to use your identity for their own gain. This might make you want to delete all your accounts, but it's near impossible to disconnect from the internet today. For example, almost every job you have to apply for online. Those applications ask for your address, social security number, and other personal information so that they can contact you and check to see if you're eligible to work. You want to apply for jobs and stay in contact with companies when there are job openings, but also need to stay safe. We want to protect personal information like our social security number, our address, our birthday, and other identifying information to prevent identity theft. Consequences of identity theft include ruined credit, losing access to federal benefits, and other difficulties. So let's dive into how we can better protect our information when using websites and applications. There is a lot to say for creating a passphrase rather than a password. To create a passphrase, think of a line of lyrics from a favorite song, an inspirational quote, or a line from a book you love. This makes it possible for you to remember the passphrase easily. And the longer the passphrase, the stronger it is. When you make it long, use different characters and a mix of lower and uppercase letters. It can make the difference of taking a day to hack your password or a million, billion, trillion years. Now that you've got a strong password, create more. Don't use the same password for multiple accounts. Having multiple passwords are key. If you only use one password for all of your accounts, then all of those accounts are at risk of being accessed by someone other than you. To help manage multiple passwords, you can use a password manager. There are many different password managers available, and that way you only have to remember one strong passphrase to access the rest of your accounts. A final tip is to change your password every 6 months to a year. By doing this, it gives you more time to think of new and unique passwords that you can remember. Creating passwords that are hard, but that you can also remember, takes work, but pays off for you and not hackers in the end. So give it a shot. Come up with a couple of passphrases, change your passwords, and get your personal information better protected. Good luck.
Have you ever flipped through the television? scroll through the internet? Or listen to the radio and notice that everything looks and sounds virtually the same? Well, that's because it is. It's kind of like going to a buffet, where you thought you would have a variety of food options, but you only have a few. That's because 90% of today's media is owned by 6 major media companies. It wasn't always like this. Thanks to the era of deregulation, including the Telecommunications Act of 1996, we're left with only a few major media companies. Strangely enough, the goal of many of these policies was to open up access to communications, business, and its tools. Instead, through massive amounts of consolidation, we went from 50 companies in 1983 to just 6 today. So who are the big 6? Comcast, the Walt Disney Company, 21st Century Fox, Time Warner, CBS, and Viacom. They own everything from your favorite streaming platforms, local news channels, movies, and other publications. Instead of trying to compete with the major media companies, people should embrace local independent media. But what is independent media? Independent media is radio, television, newspapers, and internet sources that are free from the influence of corporate interests. For example, consider community access TV stations, independent newspapers and radio, and other media sources that are led and organized by voices from your community. Philly Community Access Media is one such example of a great platform that strives to create a foundation for indie media makers. The advantages of independent media include more creative freedoms, diversity in content, and fewer commercials. As a supporter and creator, you have the opportunity to collaborate on critical issues related to local and national politics, activism, community civic concerns, local independent arts, culture, and activities within your neighborhood. Creators have many tools and resources at their disposal. When you choose to support independent media, you choose to fight the corporate monopoly. Individual choice is essential to making sure everyone has a voice. Supporting reputable independent media outlets or creating such content yourself is one way in ensuring that you don't have to be under the dictatorship of the Big 6 and to have your own peace of mind instead. Now, more than ever, democracy in the media landscape is under attack. Rather than force yourself to compete with the corporate media machines, take advantage of what's already at your fingertips. You already have the resources and tools in front of you to make change in the world. Check out your local library, connect with local media creators, and take control of your content. Speak to your local elected representatives about what they are doing to support community access media. And remember, independent media isn't about fighting for access to a corporate platform, but having a platform of your own.